Hey everybody, welcome back to another CleanShot update video. Today we have version 4.8, which has a couple really nice features I'm super excited to show you. So let's just jump into it. The number one thing I'm most excited about in this update is the new color picker. So if I go ahead and just take a screenshot of this window, go ahead and hide that and then go to the edit interface. You can see here, we're going to go ahead and just put an element on screen. So I've got an arrow, I've made it red. I can switch it to any of these colors. Maybe I like this blue. Let's say just for sake of example, I wanted to use the filled rectangle to fill in this button so that you couldn't see the text for now. And that mostly works, but it's not perfect. It's not a perfect match. You can definitely tell that it's a rectangle over that. Well, you can of course change the color. We've got the default colors here, and there's always been a color picker in CleanShot, but it always used the system color picker. And now in CleanShot version 4.8, there's a custom color picker that's really nice and lets you go ahead and select colors that work perfectly for you and critically save them for later. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the eyedropper to pick that button's blue. There we go. And now I'm going to add this to my colors. And so there it is. So now I have a perfectly colored rectangle there. I can go ahead and select orange, and now I have orange. And let's say, oh, I want to go back to that blue. No problem, that blue is here. I can select it again, and there we go. Cover that up there. And we have a perfectly blue color that's aligned with our color scheme. One use case I'm actually using this personally for is if we go back, I do have these as kind of my primary colors that I use in a piece of software that I work on, and I want to use these all the time. So let's go ahead and go in here. We'll go into the color picker, open it up to expand, and then we're just going to go ahead and pick those colors. We have green, we have red, and we have blue, and I've added those all to my colors. I can rearrange them in this list if I'd like, so I can plop them anywhere here that works for me. So maybe I want, blue, red, green is fine. Let's say I don't want this first one anymore. No problem. Just get it out of there. And now I have my default saved. When I get that smaller, I don't have to show the whole picker every time. I can have the defaults here as well as my personal colors up to 10 over here, it looks like. So I really, really like this, especially if you use the same colors all the time and they're not the ones that are here in the app by default. You can get those in here and it's really, really great. I'm really happy with this update. There's also been a meaningful update to how windowed screenshots work when using the wallpaper. So if we take a screenshot of this window, for example, and go ahead and go into edit mode, you're going to see the background here as we'd expect. But if we go into the edit tools, we can actually do things we couldn't do before. We can blur that background. We can completely change out that background if we'd like. And we can even remove it entirely if you want to go back to a more traditional window screenshot. This wasn't possible before, and this really gives you a lot of flexibility so that when you take a screenshot of a window, you're not locked into your initial choice. If you took a transparent background, you can add a background, and even if you used your own wallpaper, you can remove it or change it to something else. Let's go ahead and take another screenshot and show you something we can do here with the new crop tool. So crop has always been here, and you can crop the image, of course, but two items have been promoted for easier access. The first is mirroring, so you can mirror the image very easily, and you can also rotate the image. So rotate it, rotate it, rotate it, rotate it, and get it to exactly how you want very easily without having to go into any submenus. The next thing we have is an update to how dragging in additional screenshots works when you want to line things up. And so I have basically this little window here where I've taken 4 screenshots of the CleanShot website, 4 different pages, and I've got them up here. So I'm going to want to move them into a different arrangement than this. So I basically have one here, and I can drag in the second one, and based on where I drop it, it can go above, below, right, or left of this screenshot. I'm going to put this one to the right. There you go, lines up perfectly. And next one I'll put actually below. Let's put this below there, and let's go ahead and align that. You're going to see as you drag it around, there's going to be grid lines that let you snap it to align things perfectly. So good. And then this fourth one, this one I'm going to put at the bottom. and move it back up here and just align it perfectly. So there we go. Here's a grid of my 4 screenshots that is just easier for me to share. And then I can continue doing all the markup things that I like, where I can say, I like this. I want to change this. It's all good. I don't actually want to change any of this, but in theory, I could mark up these kind of multiple screenshots all at one time and have them arranged very easily, very nicely. This next update is an enhancement to scrolling screenshots. So if I go ahead and bring up the screenshot tool and hover it over kind of this part of my timeline in a Final Cut project, I can go ahead and select scrolling, but I was previously only able to scroll vertically, but now I can scroll horizontally. So if I go ahead and do this, I can scroll and you can see a very long screenshot is being created. And there we go. I can say I'm done, go into edit this, and now I have this very, very long screenshot. That's awesome. That was not possible before, so I'm really happy to see it for those instances where, yeah, a horizontal screenshot is actually what I need. I did that manually, but of course there is auto scrolling. If I go to scrolling again, you'll see over here on the right, it'll say, hey, is this a horizontal scrolling one? That's going to do the auto scroll for you until it's done. We're going to say done and go into edit this. And yeah, you can just go ahead and do everything you need to do. Obviously in this one, I'd probably want to crop because it went too far. Final Cut has more space than it really needs. We'll crop it down a little bit. And there we go. That's a perfect, long, very long screenshot now possible with CleanShot. Speaking of scrolling screenshots, let's look at an issue that's been addressed by updating to this new version. If we do a scrolling tall screenshot, let's go ahead and do this. Let's just let it keep going. Let's keep going. Not close to the bottom yet, but hey, let's call that enough. There's our screenshot. Go into edit, and it's very tall, but I can go ahead and do whatever I want with it. But let's say I want to print it. Let's go ahead and hit print. Now you're going to see that the screenshot, if it's very tall, is going to take up multiple pages. Previously, it would always scale to fit onto one page, which could be kind of cramped in some situations. Now, there's a setting in the System Print dialog to choose the behavior that works for that specific screenshot. You can scale it or not, depending on which works best for you. I can also, just in case you didn't know, this is a really cool macOS feature. There is a PDF option here where you can open this in preview, you can save it as a PDF and save it to these other places, which is really cool if you don't actually want to print, but do want kind of a printable version, a digital print of it. You can create anything that you're going to print to your printer. You can also save it as a PDF. Not a CleanShot thing, but just a nice thing to know about the Mac. And for these last couple of features, we're going to go into the app settings to show you some new things here. If we go into settings, go to screenshots, we have some updates to file formats. So in addition to PNGs and JPEGs, you can now save your files as WebP images. So if you go ahead and just take a full screen screenshot, we'll save that as a PNG. We'll switch this to WebP, do another full screen screenshot, and save that. Now, if we go ahead and use the Finder Inspector, the PNG is 6.6 megabytes, the WebP is 3 megabytes. Now, obviously, the PNG is going to be fully compatible with everything out there. Everything knows what a PNG is. But if you want to save some space and it works with your workflow, WebP images are here and can help you save some space. Additionally, the app can now open HEIC images, and you can mark them up and edit them in CleanShot, but you can't save them as the file format. Finally, color management. If you're using a screen that isn't necessarily using the sRGB profile, you can go ahead and enable this to convert all of your images automatically to sRGB to make sure they look as you would expect on every display out there. And that is it for CleanShot version 4.8. We think it's a really great update and hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching.